I'm gonna be redoing the video I made about being an incel. I feel the last video I made about being an incel or whatever was too negative, and I don't want this channel to be negative or this channel to be about, oh wow, woe is me, I'm an incel and this and that. But really, I wanna briefly speak on what it's like being an incel in the year 2026 in this weird nightmare world I find myself in. First of all, I've never been in a serious relationship before in my life. Like, I've had a few quote unquote girlfriends, but they weren't ever really my girlfriend. But, I don't even count those. Yeah, I've never been in a relationship, period, ever in my life. And it sucks. It really does suck not having, any sort of love or companionship or whatever, but it just is what it is in this nightmare world. But yeah, you are left to your own devices to explore and learn about all of these conspiracies, I guess. I guess that's the will of God. In my opinion, that's the will of the Elohim, is he wants me to stay single for an extended period of time. That's just what it seems like. I could be totally wrong, but that's what it seems like. So I'm gonna go with that. And I don't necessarily mind being an incel if it means I'm more spiritually able to grow and able to figure certain things out that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to figure out. And with these lemons I have, I don't know if you've heard the term, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. I'm choosing to make lemonade with the lemons that I've been given. At least I'm trying to better myself and trying to grow spiritually and mentally and such. But it would be a lot easier to be accompanied by a partner, by a female. But that is what it is. I would like for those things to be added in my life. I'm not really sure when or if they will be. And you're told all this shit by your parents that, oh, you'll find a girlfriend or you'll find a wife, but in my experience, not one woman has ever really loved me like that. Never in my life. Since the second grade, I've been a complete incel. Like, when I say incel, I mean involuntary celibate who's not able to get a girlfriend. Like, I don't hate women. I don't wish bad upon women. I have no resentment towards women, and I want to make that abundantly clear. But, the closest to being girlfriend and boyfriend I could ever get with a female ever was being just friends with them. I wasn't seen as a sub 5 or whatever, but I wasn't seen enough to be sexually or romantically attractive to women. So I was in that weird state of where you're not really repulsive, but you're not sexually or romantically attractive either. And that's just how it's been my entire life. And, the dating market is so fucked. And I'm doing the best I can to look smacks and this and that and improve myself the best I possibly can. And I believe I could possibly maybe break out of incel. But as it stands, I think I'm just a complete and utter incel. When I say incel, I mean the classic definition of incel, involuntary celibate. Not someone who, begrudges or hates women for existing, which I don't. And I love women a lot, and I think that they're very importance, and I believe women are to be cherished and loved and such. So, don't think that I hate women, but I know a lot of these red pill and black pill truths about, women, and as far as that goes, I'd say I'm between the red pill and the black pill. Sure, you can upper your points, you can upper your SMV by at least 1 point, but at the end of the day, if you don't have elite level genetics, and if you're a normie, if you're not in the top 10, top 5% of men, then you are basically an incel. And a lot of the relationships that a lot of normies are in, this gets into a whole other situation. The relationships that a lot of so-called normies are in aren't really relationships. A lot of normies get friend-zoned in relationships. The woman will make them wait for sex and intimacy and such, and then have some chad that they're fucking on the side that the normie doesn't know about. And that's how a lot of modern relationships are. And, I don't hate women or begrudge women for how they are, but it is what it is. In this, very fucked dating market, and I'd rather be single than be in a normie tier relationship or marriage. And I want, if I were to be in a relationship, I'd at least want my woman and I to be having sex multiple times a week. And for her to enjoy that and be excited for that. That's not something I want to be transactional by any stretch of the imagination. And it's really disheartening that, my life is very lackluster of romance and sex and intimacy and love and all of these different things, but as far as being involved in all this conspiratorial stuff and the occult research and spiritual research and such, I have to be an incel. You're designated to that spot so long as you are in this underground of the internet, and that's what the Elohim seems to want for me. And I respect that. How long have I been going on for? 8 minutes, wow. But I wish that I wasn't an incel. It does suck not having any intimacy or romance in my life whatsoever, but like I said, there's only so many things you can do in this, nightmare world ran by, whatever these non-humans claim that they are, and that is what it is. So, yeah, make the best out of your situation if you're an incel. It is painful seeing all your older siblings. I have, 4 older siblings. 3 of them are step siblings. One of them is related to me, blood related to me. And they've all been in long-term relationships with, long-term intimate partners, and a lot of them already had, all these experiences by the time they were my age, and this and that, and it's a little it's a lot painful to see.
it sucks seeing everyone around you get, you know, romance and love handed to them on a silver platter almost, but that is what it is. You know, they're probably not human themselves. You know, I'd venture to guess, but even if they are.